All right, well, I've been kind of procrastinating on this one, so I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. Looks like I'm gonna go for around 3 feet-ish on the Molduga. So we'll just start with some basic stuff and go from there. All right, well, let's take a look at a few things here. First of all, haven't made quite the progress that I wanted on the Molduga, although at least we have a good estimate of the scale. You might be able to make out some of the tail piece here. And sweeping up to this top section, there's the head sort of roughly sketched out. So what this is going to be is probably part of the lower jaw as it shapes down that way, and then the upper part will be brought up this way to make that secondary mouth where the eyes and the snorkel are located. Then the dorsal will be fitted here. Build out some of this down here, probably like this. That'll give you kind of a better idea of what this thing's going to be built out to. Pretty good size scale here. So I'd say about like that. And then sweeping into the tail section. Now, the reason I stopped where I'm at is I started going back to these original photocopies. Well, they're black and white laser prints really, but started looking at these and going through hours and hours of video online, just dozens and dozens of hours. And what you're looking at is a little bit deceiving, and I'll tell you why. So you've got this large dorsal, long tail, and then a sort of what looks like a dorsal fin, and it is. But then it comes down and you're thinking, okay, well, obviously this thing is shaped like that, like a shark. Same thing here, it kind of resembles that. I mean, if you're looking at this as a reference, this one here, and then looking back to this, oh, well, clearly this thing must be dorsal. But then I started thinking, well, it's obviously flat. So if this is flat, how is this dorsal? And finally I realized, and the clue is right here in this little drawing. It's a trifin. I thought, well, is it though? So yeah, like I said, went through a bunch of video. Tried to find some good ones where, because, you know, the person isn't trying to take out the Molduga in 2 hits. So you don't get a lot of video that way. Found a few people that were doing things like just kind of playing with it, really. So what you've got is just like it shows. It's a 3-prong dorsal. Well, it's more like a upside down Y. This is probably closer to the shape of the tail. And what you end up looking at when you see it on the videos is you've got kind of the mouth section, that large shovel-like mouth, lower jaw, you know, that eye section, kind of a squared off mouth, and then that kind of nice triceratops looking head. You've got this nice kind of bulbous shape kind of coming out, and then when you get to the back, there's his little hands, little feet. So this is kind of what you got, right? When you get to the back, his tail kind of does this thing, like an airplane. So if you look at the other side of this thing, there's another part of it. So what you got is this part, and then this part, and then there's another wing on the back end. If you guys are familiar with, like, well, most planes with a monotail, jets like a F-111, go look that up. Pretty famously has that sort of drop tail on it, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm gonna have to rethink this flat side. I think what I'll do is take that piece, that cross section from the back end, in other words, this part of the tail, and I'm going to cut a little bevel in there and bend these down like this to these, so these connect, and then I'm going to add that other part of the tail section. So what you're looking at is, starts off flat like this, cut a bevel, bend these down, so I've got this, and then add the dorsal. So you're looking at this thing here with, you know, that dorsal section coming across this way. That's going to be up this way, and then these two pieces, you can see where I drew the tail, is going to bend down like that. And I think that should take care of it. And if you're wondering about the sort of shoddy workmanship, hey, trust me, this is plenty strong. I'm not really super concerned about the looks of the interior as long as it's structurally sound. Sure, there's little gaps and things, but I can fill that out later. Especially when it's something organic, I don't really care too much about how clean it looks, especially if I'm going to end up covering it up with some clay. But now I'm wondering just how much clay am I going to need for this thing, because it's huge. I mean, this is pretty cool, getting pretty close to 3. It's just about 3 feet, almost exactly. I mean, give or take a 1/4 of an inch from here to here. About 35.75 inches. I've got probably enough putty. I keep saying putty, but what I mean is foam clay, to fill in some gaps and put in some details. So we'll see how clean I can get it, to where I don't have to fill out as much, so I don't have just one gigantic skin of foam clay on this. I may just have to buy more foam clay, to be honest. The majority of the sculpting, I think, is really going to be focused on the head. You've got most of the texture for the head all around this, the jaws, the eyes, a little bit of this, and then there's a little bit more probably on the underside. But for the most part, the rest of the Molduga is fairly smooth. So we'll see what I can do with that. Yeah, all right. Well, that's my little progress report. I'll get back to you guys probably next week. Probably, well, I don't know. I might post something before the weekend's out. We'll see how far I can get with this under frame, subframe, if you will. And yeah, you can say I'm already blocking it off. I don't want any of those toys getting lost inside this thing. Yeah, I'll give you a little heads up probably before the weekend's out.